Hello everyone, and welcome to day 3 of our California trip. Today we'll be departing from this beautiful place here at the foothills of the Sierra Nevada, Kern Valley Airport, and we will make our way to Mammoth Yosemite Airport just on the other side of the mountains. It's a relatively short hop, but the scenery over the Sierra Nevada, needless to say, is absolutely fantastic. So now let's step into the aircraft and start configuring. Now, probably, I'll take it as it comes, but probably as we proceed further, I'll try and be a bit quicker in the startup and configuring. So if you're looking for a slightly more detailed or slightly slower initial configuring, I would suggest to watch the initial videos. So either the first or the second one. I will try just a little bit still detailed and do everything as it's supposed to be done, but maybe explaining a little bit less and going a little bit quicker. There we go. Open payload, remove all the covers. There we are. We'll load up now. We'll co-pilot. Let's do a couple of passengers today as well. Just check the weights, because they tend to be a bit on the heavy side sometimes, but sometimes you get a lot of children as well. So always check that it's not too imbalanced. Here there's an imbalance of very good 40 kilograms on the right hand side, so I'll try and balance it a little bit. Not that it makes a huge difference, but it's okay. I mean, it reflects reality, so you can leave it as it is if you want. A little bit of cargo, a little bit of front. And there we go. Now let's have a look at the flight. Also, you see me always bringing up Avitab. Over here is a window, but you have the possibility of using the pad, remember, here on the side. You can do it there. But since it's a video and Avitab is small and not very clear, it's always a little bit fuzzy, I just rather do like this so you can see it better. Bring up the charts. You can do all these in SimBrief, but they're very short hops, so Sky Vector is more than enough. I just use SimBrief to calculate the cruise level. I'm quite lazy, let's say, so if I can get a very reliable system to do the calculations for me of fuel and cruise level, I normally do, rather than doing it myself. Cruise level of 26,000 feet, which is quite high, but we start to be in the mountains, so we start already from a certain height, so that should be okay. Block fuel for today is going to be 460 kilograms. So if we translate that into gallons, that's going to be 230, 115, 120, 125, let's do 120 should be enough. I'm expecting any delays of diversions or anything like that. Start, we load 60, close the fuel caps, and we're ready to go. Load it up. As you can see, Mammoth Yosemite Airport is at 7,000 feet. We might start to see as well the aircraft responding sluggishly to the control at that altitude. There we go. Now covers are removed. Oxygen is on. There we go. So up on the overhead. I'm sorry if you can't see too much. It's quite dark, but neither can I. But everything seems to be off. All the switches are down apart from ignition, so that's all good. We come down. De-icing system, that's very dark. De-icing system, everything is down. Parking brake is on, gear is down, manual override and throttle are all in the down position. Aircon, bleeds, all switched off. Over here, alternate static, emergency air, and all the circuit breakers are all pushed in. So that's all good and well. So we're ready to get started. lift the crash bar, and we put on battery. There we go, waiting for the system to initialize. Move the source to main for when we start the engine. Nav light comes on now. Do a quick light test. Light test over there, you can see all the lights coming up. That's good. And we'll do check that the gear is down, and we'll do the light test for the landing gear.
Warning, okay.
Okay, let's take care of the BFD as usual. Inset. Oops. Can bring it up. I'm sure you can see it well enough here. Declutter 3. We get to 15 miles and leave it on terrain. Go back.
Pause system test. Okay.
BFD. Wind is already there. DME bearing and bearing again. Today we'll be flying GPS. They're all small airports we're going around, so we don't see. I don't think there's a single one with ILS. We don't do much VOR ILS navigation around here. Is all pretty much GPS. But today we will be doing a different approach. So the first day we've done a visual on a circuit, and the second day we did an extended center line GPS approach, and today we'll be doing a full RNAV approach. Altitude, so it's still standard as we said, especially now that we get into the more adventurous areas, let's say with a lot of terrain and etc. Risk encountering clouds or anything like that. And that's all good. Transponder, as we said, you see me not using it because we're not on VATSIM. If we were online, VATSIM Pilot Engine, etc., I would be setting it, but there's no point. I don't think it's worth the time it takes to do all that, even if it's just half a minute. There we go, MFD. But first of all, we check quickly the parameters, and we go 24.7. So as we said, 24.5 is the minimum to start the engine. So in this case, we can decide to either pay for the GPU, so start the GPU over here, or we can start the engine. Now we don't have that much configuring to do, so there's not really much point in paying $50 and use the GPU. It's $50 an hour. Using it for 5-10 minutes, not much point, so we can start the engine straight away. So let's do that today. We start the engine before we configure everything. On the outside, we close the external door, quite long arms, as you can see, I can reach. And then we can close the internal. You can do it from inside. You want to add a bit of realism. Hold the button until it's closed and then lock it. Back to our seat. Then we close our door. There we go. So we want to start straight away. Residual heat, it's nothing. It's 30 degrees. Less than 150 is good. Battery more than 24.5 amps. Less than 80. And we're good, but the amps will check them. And once we start less than 80, as soon as we start, we need to check in what condition the battery is. There we go. Come up. Auxiliary pump on. Switch the screens, the displays, so we have the engine indications here in case we lose power to these. We can still save the engine, as we said. Bring up the timer. Start it on for 2 seconds. There we go. start the timer, wait for 13%. It's a bit sluggish today. Might have something to do with the batteries being so low. 13%. Low idle. It's fine. It told us to abort, but we can accept 850. We were 870, 880 degrees Celsius. And we came up with an indication, return the throttle to cut off immediately. As per manual, I wanted to see if it was simulated properly. As per manual, manufacturer manual, you can accept temperatures of 850 or above until 1000 for up to 20 seconds. And it lasted only 4 or 5 seconds, so we were within manufacturer parameters, so that was good. Destabilize might have had something to do with having so little voltage. We were at 24.6 and the minimum is 24.5. Probably was something to do with that. But we were overall within parameters, so that's good. But do be careful, because if you blow up the engine, it's not pleasant. There we go. So we can put it to flight, idle, and it's a good start, and now everything is where it's supposed to be. No idea why the chocks were not there, sorry. That wasn't a good start. Parking brake was on, but it wasn't, and the chocks were not there. Lovely. Good way to start an airplane. Also, the main generator now doesn't seem to be working. As you can see, this is in the yellow. We have all sorts of funny things happening today, but it's good, we can troubleshoot them. As you can see, the main generator doesn't seem to be working. Or the standby. Let's try and reset them. There we go, resetting the generator seems to have worked. But we have amps very, very high. So technically we wouldn't be able to take off now. We need to wait for the amps to go down. So what I think I'm going to do now we'll turn on off the engine. I will get the GPU running and do a full charging cycle and see if that solves the problem. Of course, I'll just do the procedure, and then by the time it takes for everything to go back to normal, I will stop the video. What we're gonna do, there we go. Let's bring it back to low idle. Keep it there for a few seconds. And then we shut it. There we go. Let's call the GPU. We have the GPU outside. Remember to switch the source from battery to GPU. There we go. Now the GPU is charging the batteries. I see, I'll pause the video and we see what happens in a few minutes. There we are, so the generator GPU is charging the batteries. Should be in a better position now. Let's see what happens now if we try to start the engine with the GPU attached. So let's close the door, a little bit more quiet, and then start the engine from here. Now we leave the GPU on, we leave the source to GPU all the way up, and we do exactly the same procedure to start the engine. So auxiliary fuel pump on. The temperature of the engine, though, it's high, so we need to do dry motoring to cool it down. So we're in 295. We're gonna turn off fuel pump, turn off ignition, making sure that fuel pump is off, ignition is off, and then we do the rest as we normally do. Just hold the starter for a couple of seconds. And voila, and let it run. So you can see the temperature is coming down. There we are, slow enough. Click, press on abort. And we're good. There we are, now we're good to start. Ignition back to auto. Auxiliary pump on. Couple of seconds. You can see it's immediately at 13, so we don't have the problem we had before. Put it to low idle. Start the timer. Rising much more happily. Temperature is 200 degrees lower. And we're at 50% by 20 seconds, so that's a lot better. Might have learned a lesson there. I've never started the engine on batteries so close to the minimum. It was technically within parameters, but it didn't really like it that much. Okay, so we can... Generator is on main. We can disconnect the GPU. So just put the source down to battery. And then we can get rid of the GPU. At this point, everything looks a lot better than before. The battery is 16 ampere, the main generator is 26. Just to double check, we'll test the standby. Standby, nice 25. Put it back to main. So that's all good. That was sorted. Now continue our flow. There we put the auxiliary pump to auto, fuel pump to manual. We'll test the shift as usual. Moving to the left. Moving to the right. That's good. Autopilot trims on. And we're good with that. Now we put the strobe on. Oh, actually, should have done that before starting the engine, but that's okay. There was nobody around. let's check just the engine parameters to see everything is okay. Everything in the green. NG is stable at 55. ITT is good and stable. Oil pressure, oil temperature, electrical is all good. Fuel quantity as you expect. So that's all nice and dandy. Lovely. Let's put on the bleed. Over here, bleed on. Aircon on. Auto taxi, so inertial separator on. Check the flight controls. Still need to do our planning. Yeah, do remember at a certain point to put it on to fly idle, provide enough power. And there we go. Now flight plan. We delete what was there. Menu. Delete flight plan. And let's go and see where we're going today. I think it's a straight shot, but yeah, straight shot, but then we have an RNAV approach procedure. So we're going to Kilo, Mike, Hotel, Mammoth Yosemite. There we go. And then we load already the procedure, so click on procedure, select approach, and there's mountains on one side, so there's only one approach, RNAV 27. Click that. Terms of arrival, vectors, let's check that approach. So we will be arriving from this side. So in terms of transition, well, Nickel would be on this side, on the north. Ever is just here, a little bit closer. If you were coming, I don't know, if you were coming from this side, and we're coming from actually the south. Normally we would be flying this way. I guess we can do Oli there. Yeah, down here in the south. That's another airport actually. Yeah, Bishop. Lovely. We just load it. Don't activate, just load it. We can put the minimums actually already. I lost the cursor. Doesn't let me put the minimum, but I guess we'll load it. We'll try and put the minimums after we finished. Load, perfect. Let's have a look at it. I see that it makes sense. Let's just put this one on the way we like it, as usual. Up. Hide topographic. And there we are back. The flight plan. Starting from Kern Valley, it's a straight shot up north. And this one takes us straight to the airport. We keep the airport there, but then around this point we'll activate the approach and we'll intercept the approach. And then over here, the approach is already populated the altitude, so don't worry about those. 11,000 and runway 27 at 7,000 feet. Then we have the missed approach procedure there. Perfect, all good. Let's try and get out of here. Inertial separator is on and is on there. Let's put the parking brakes, hold the brakes, turn to on. Parking brake is active. Let's check the trims. There we are. Flaps are up. LFE landing field elevation, it's automatic and today it is working, so you can see here KMMH 7126, so that's correct. Feather the throttle. Should be doing it twice, as usual we do it only once, not to be tedious. If it works, it works. Lovely cast system, only what we expect to be there. We'll just put the pitot on just before takeoff. Engine indicator, it's all good, all in the green. Arms are beautiful now. You can see here 15 for the generator, 4 for the battery. Lovely, turn on the taxi light and we can finally get out of here. Move the chocks. Parking brake off. Taxi range. A bit tight here. And this morning I was comparing, took a Google, an image from Google Maps of the area and compared it with the scenery here, and it's incredible. It's exactly identical, and especially the airport. Actually, the taxiways, the parkings, the buildings, everything it's sensational, absolutely sensational. I'm so thrilled and scared at the same time about Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and there's so much expectations for it to be all like this and better for the entire world, which sounds absolutely ludicrous to think about, but let's hope it's going to be that way. We have no wind, so we're going to be departing towards the mountains. We have the performance to climb over those mountains straight away. If we were in a different airplane, we might have wanted to depart towards the valley, towards the lake, and gain some altitude and then make our way, but with the TBM we definitely don't need to worry about performance. Anyway, let's put the headset on. Landing lights, pitot heat, flaps, take off, turn down once. Not going to do the whole test, we wasted enough time today. Battery below 50 amps, good. No messages about what we expect it to be there. Altimeters is set. We need to set our altitude. That's going to be 26,000. And our runway heading, which I believe we might not know. No, there's no charts at all. These airports. There's absolutely no chart. So we'll just trust it's a 3.5. Actually, yesterday when we were approaching, we said it was around 3.53. So we'll preset it and then we'll check it once we're lined up. Push the toga button next to the throttle. Make sure you have the flight directors. Take off, flight directors, take off, altitude, and standby. And we're good. We will check the transponder. We'll activate it now if we were using it. We'll check the radar quickly. Traffic radar, operate above. Weather radar, put it on standby. And we're good to go. Not that we need it today, but good to go. Release parking brake. And we're off. We'll find that funny enough, we're flying into a relatively small airport, but the next couple of steps, it's going to be very, very long runways as we're so high. Here at Kern Valley, it's not too high with 2,600, but where we're flying now is 7,000, 7,100. Yeah, and the next step will be Lake Tahoe, Tahoe, however it's pronounced, Tahoe, I believe. And there is going to be 7,000. No, actually, no, 7,700 is the approach. Yeah, it's around 7,000 again. There we go. Always bring this up when we're planning on flying slow. It will hopefully won't be too slow, but this is really, really important. It does save you from tough situations, let's say. Okay, synchronize the heading. Press the button in the middle, and that will synchronize your heading indicator with your current heading. 50%. Prop RPM in the green. Release brake. Full throttle. Looking for 90. 90 knots. Rotate. Onto the flight director. Quick tap of the brakes. Gear up. Let's now intercept the GPS course manually instead of with the autopilot. Make sure we can store the flaps now. Get above 115. Retract the flaps. Flaps up. There we go. Activate your damper. Set the autopilot to GPS. It is already green. So now we can go on to the flight directors. Let's set vertical speed as well. 2,500. No, we'll set it for now Now 1500. Go on to the flight directors. Everything is set the way we want it. Activate autopilot. There we go. At this point, let's try and make sure we climb at the right speed.
Terrain ahead.
As you can see, there's a big hill in front of us. I would
Terrain
have
ahead.
probably avoided
Terrain
it
ahead.
in real life, but as you can see now that we switched to flight change, we were at 140 knots. Switch it to flight change, bring the speed back to 124. Of course, made us climb like a bullet. So, as you can see, the performance of this aircraft is absolutely unbelievable. As I say, real life, definitely. Not that I'm a pilot and I know anything about real life piloting, but I'm sure I wouldn't have headed straight for this massive hill. They probably used this path in the valley. But it was just to demonstrate how quickly this airplane climbs. We can leave it quite happily to climb at this speed. See how quickly it can get to 26,000. Remember to adjust the throttle. Keep it as close to 100 as you can. Especially when you're climbing very fast like now, it will decrease quickly. 9,000, we can now turn off the inertial separator, and then do make sure that you keep an eye. Don't over torque it. Landing lights can come off. Climbing at 2,600 feet per minute at a speed of 125 knots. It's crazy. 2,700 there. That means we're climbing 2,700 feet every 2 miles at this speed. There we are. Inertial separator is now stable, so this is just gonna slowly decrease. But we're good. ITT is great. 700, 790 is the maximum. 760 is what we like not to go above. Always a quick look at the flaps, just in case you left them there by accident, especially when you're flying slow. You might have forgotten to put them up. Approaching 18,000, we're in the state. We will check the altimeters. We're not today, the standards, so there's no need to change that. And let's have a look outside. Look at the climb. The funny thing is that whereas many models in Explain, some of the cheaper, just not as good models that you find out there, the performance is not realistic, and some plane climb like bullets that, unlike reality, this is actually totally completely realistic. The performance of the real plane is actually this. It's incredible. Yes, that's why this little toy cost $3 million. Let's have a look at the flight plan. Need to remember that we will need to activate the approach way before getting to the airport. There we are, so we're here now. Need to activate the approach to intercept Wally. So technically, we save a couple of miles. I guess we could actually even activate it now. Let's get to the top of climb, and then we'll activate it and we'll go direct. No point in doing adding mileage. Why not? We can do it now, actually. Let's activate the leg. So we highlight it with the blue cursor. We highlighted Wally, then pressed menu, and then you activate the leg. As simple as that. Try not to use this. If you use this button, so you could have done the same by highlighting Wally there and use this button over here, but that deletes everything that is before, so today wouldn't have been a big problem. But just as a matter of habit, I prefer to do activate leg. So you keep whatever is before, just in case you do by mistake. If I pressed on Tepri now, if I went to Tepri and I pressed this one, then I would lose everything else. And if I did it by mistake, then I would be in trouble. I wouldn't have anything else for that. But get in the habit of highlighting, go on to menu and activating leg. The G1000 is an incredibly complicated piece of software there, and I haven't studied it as well as I would have liked to. I need to probably go back and do it really in depth. But that's the thing of explaining. You get distracted with new planes and you study the 737 and then you go the Airbus and then DC-3, or there's so much to learn. It's crazy. While in real life, luckily, you stick to one plane or two if you do a bit of private pilot flying and you're an airline pilot, but you don't get distracted as much as here. So we want to be only at 13,000 feet. We're still climbing, so we'll be at 26. Just check everything is okay. Always double check that what is in the box, let's call it, in the flight plan makes sense. So we will be cruising at 26,000. We need to be at Wally at 13, so we need to lose 13,000 feet. Classic 3 times rule. 13,000 feet to lose times 3 is 39 miles. Plus, we don't need to lose speed here. We don't. Normally on airliners, you add another 10 miles. You need to bleed off a lot of speed. Here we will not need to lose that much, but still 40-45 miles we need them, so we're good because we're 65 miles from Wally. as we approach the level of altitude, we want to try and be below 1000 feet per minute. So we can revert to vertical speed now and decrease it a little bit. So a smoother transition. And I keep forgetting to check the torque. As you can see, we went down to 60%. Terrible airline pilot. Too much time on the 737 and the A320. You forget that throttle even exists, especially on the Airbus. In the last, I started on explain with the Zibo 737, and then I moved on to the Airbus. In the last couple of months, 3 months, I focused on the A320, A321 and A319 frontalis. And as you keep the auto throttle in until you land, so it's horrible. You totally completely forget you have a throttle to manage. There we go. GPS track. Altitude hold 26,000 feet. We're good. Let's not forget to dial down the altitude, so we're going to intercept and the VNAV path. The current waypoint for vertical navigation, it's Bravo India Hotel at 12,000 feet. 1 minute 49 to get there, so let's do this. Let's see if we have time. We might not have time to modify the... Well, actually we do have time, because that will increase. We'll get the top of descent further than where we are. Instead of 2.5 degrees, we prefer to descend at 3. As you can see, if I increase the angle, it's going to be farther from us, and if I decrease it, it's going to be closer. So we set 3 degrees, and now it's 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Targeting a vertical speed of 1,600. Look how much the colors have changed in Kern Valley. All red over there. This is a completely different scenery now. Looks almost more like European Alps. There are some very deep valleys here somewhere. Look at that. Might take one day the TBM to some low level flying there. It's definitely powerful and agile enough to handle that. Pretend I'm in DCS with the Hornet. I'm totally ignoring, as a little disclaimer, I'm totally ignoring airspaces or anything. So do not take any inspiration from real flying, VFR flying from these videos at all, because I have absolute, total and complete and utter disregard for any airspace.
Vertical track.
I even delete them from the map sometimes, so be careful there. Vertical track, you just heard the lovely voice there, so at less than 1 minute, activate VNAV, we see vertical path there, active, well, on standby, again, armed, and we're good. But yesterday we had to worry about altitude above the mountains as we were descending, because we didn't have a procedure. We just decided to climb, but we did not have an arrival procedure. This one is an actual official procedure, so it should, I say it should because you never know, but it should definitely keep us clear of terrain. But let's see how it goes. Starting to descend, I intercepted the truck. You can see the magenta triangle there. Get the power down a little bit. Now let's have a look what's going to happen there. The last waypoint before the runway is going to be Vibat. Going to be 6.3 miles. From the runway, 6.3. So we can still be, well, now ideally we want to be at this point. This is a 3%, 3 degrees descent path. Want to be around 190 knots over here. Give us time then to figure once we start slowing down. You can see we have mountains ahead, but it does look where we're going here, we're clear of the mountain. And it should be. I would be surprised if the published approach procedure wasn't clearing the terrain. That would be quite disastrous. But remember, explain is never an exact science. Scenery might be different, altitude might be different. It's not reality, and personally I think it does an incredible job. Thinking that all these details, all altitude, topography, GPS tracks, that everything is so accurate is absolutely mind-blowing. Absolutely love the scenery here. Look at these details. Every single ridge. Look at that. So this is now our airport. This is this airport here. We still have a little to go. Can check as usual. Check the view. Put on to wide. And see runway 27 where we're going. It's estimated at 14:55, so 11 minutes from now. 11 minutes and 13 seconds. The distance as well, when you have the narrow view like this, the distance as well can be cumulative or leg to leg. So we see we have a total of 55 miles to runway 27. That's again good when you need to consider how much height we need to lose. It is an arrival procedure, so it should be physically doable, but you always want to double check. That's the case. Never leave it to the computer. Always double check. So for example, now we're at 18,000. We'll need to lose 11,000 in total. 11,000 times 3, 33 miles. We have 53. We know we could. You can never do those checks enough. course, when you're flying outside of ATC, it isn't a huge problem. If you know, you realize you're high, you can always adjust, you can always do circles, deviate, and etc. But if you are on ATC, it's not a pleasant call ATC and say, oops, sorry, I've just realized I'm 10,000 feet high. What can I do? It's just, they will sort it. They will help you. They'll do anything for you. They give you directions and everything, but it's just not pleasant call to make. Past 18,000 feet in the States, remember to set your QNH. Especially on procedures like this, where we don't have an ILS, we do heavily rely on the altimeter to be accurate. So much so that I would even do it, even though I know the weather is standard. Yeah, 1013. 2992. We normally turn on the lights and the inertial separator at 10,000 feet, but do bear in mind that we're at 7,000 feet when we land, so we'll turn on the landing lights now and inertial separator now. It does take a little bit to come on, I don't know, I would reckon 20-30 seconds for the inertial separator, and it does mess up with your torque, so you don't want to do that while you're trying to go then your final approach. We did forget one thing though. I like to say we, but I forgot something.
Vertical track.
There we go. So no, first let's take care of that. We reached our 12,000 feet. Next waypoint, well, we'll be still at 12,000. Then we'll go down to 11,000. So let's check that we're 12,000 there. Well, we'll need to lose 1,000 feet in 17 miles. Got plenty of time. There we go. This one, altitude mode, should have been below. It's not like it doesn't look below for traffic, so for air traffic, it just extends the range below the aircraft where it looks for traffic. Inertial separator is on, we're good. Okay, let's check our VNAV path. Next waypoint, 11,000 feet. So we set here 11,000. And top of descent is 2 minutes.
vertical track.
There we go. 1 minute of descent. Always monitor these parameters, just checking everything makes sense and is reasonable. As we said, it's explained, so sometimes there might be issues or bugs. Monitoring that everything makes sense. Always good habit. Be able to correct it if it doesn't. Vertical path. About to intercept it. Just below it. Now we're gonna go intercept. The path is armed. There we go. Not letting us down. Last step, we will intercept the RNAV path. It will take us down to the we'll check the landing field elevation again, pressurization purposes there. Still correct as it was before. There we are. So we reached 11,000, so the next step is going to be the GPS glide path. As you can see, it's come up here, the G. At VBAT will need to be at 9,100. And it's in 8 miles. We need to lose 2,000 feet. So let's see if we can capture that automatically. I don't know, I never tried this approach. But we know that we need 6 miles to get down there. We'll monitor it just in case it doesn't do automatically. We need to do it manually, but yes, you can see here the diamond coming down. So I will activate approach now. Pressed approach, GP, vertical path, and it's intercepted. So exactly like an ILS, this is programmed into the RNAV approach, and we are on glide path. Start slowing down closer to our flaps speed, which is 178. We're on GPS. We're on GP, which is the glide path of the RNAV approach. Checking here, we can see the approach is offset. We will need then to correct that at the last minute. Probably too close to the mountains to be an official RNAV approach straight into the runway. Final approach course is 259. But we can see that the runway is 274, so we're like at 15 degrees offset. Runway 7,000 feet for all the time in the world. There we go, start slowing down now. Reduce the torque. I believe the manual says never to take it below 10%, because if you need power, it's a lot quicker to gain torque when you're above 10, but if you bring it to 0, it's a lot more difficult. We're 4.7 miles. Put the gear down. Put flaps Down to take off. Wait for 122 knots. Get the flaps down. As you can see, here is the boundary between the green and the white line, so that's difficult to miss. And that's the speed for flaps full. We normally do it around 2 miles. I want to do it a little earlier here, because we need to then correct. There we go. Flaps full now. Let the autopilot stabilize it. As we said, we seen yesterday, it balloons a lot, this airplane, once you put the flaps down. So I like to leave the trim to the autopilot. Stabilize at around 90 knots, disconnect the autopilot, and then take it in manually. Deactivated the flight directors using them. Checking that the flaps are down, checking that the gear is down. You can see the puppies now, so we can adjust the approach a little bit. Controls are really sensitive, this plane, so all corrections are pretty difficult compared to other planes. That tree, I'm sure it won't be there. Would not be there. 85 final approach speed. Start the flare. Bring the throttle down. We have plenty of runways. And do it properly. There we go. Reversers. No need for brakes. Save a bit of brake pads. By 40 knots. So the reverser back onto taxi range. We're down. Welcome to Mammoth Yosemite Airport. Let's see where we need to taxi. Yes, straight ahead. Ooh. Let's vacate the runway before we stop. Yeah, we can go and park there. Perfect. Remember, flaps up, taxi. Lights back to taxi. Check that the weather radar is off. And it is. Pitot heat can go off. Anyway, and let's go and park. Strobe off. I believe this is another freeware add-on airport scenery. Let's just park here. There we go. Beautiful. Set the parking brake. Inertia separator goes off. Now been on idle for enough time, everything is stable. Low idle. Make sure you put body conditioning off when you're idle, when you're full throttle. Well, full throttle. Light idle up. 15 seconds. And put the taxi light off. And there we go. Here we are. Do our final checks. Make sure that everything is turned off. Over here, de-icing system, everything is off. Throttle, minor override, or off. Air conditioning, everything is off. Go up. Autopilot trims off. Fuel selector back to manual. Electric fuel pump off. Oxygen, we put it back to off. All lights are off. And we're good. Crash bar down. There we go at Mammoth Yosemite Airport. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed the flight today. We had a different approach, so that was good to have a look as well at the RNAV approach. So a third different kind of approach that we've done. I'll try for the next one to do something different again. So you have a little bit of variety and you get to familiarize yourself more with the procedure, the way the G1000 works, and the TBM works as I discover it with you. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I generally hope I will see you for day 4 that will take us to Lake Tahoe. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye now.